Okay. We'll do it that way. Therefore, we are going to be on Ayin Dalid 74b. I would say if you're using our scroll, probably B3. B, okay. We stopped off, we stopped with about two-thirds down this Amud. Okay, actually, one, two, three, about 9 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Okay, everybody find a place. Okay. Okay, so the Gemara starts off here, continuing the discussion that was had. Ba'omi nemi Rabbi Ami. They asked the following shaila from Rabbi Ami. Ben Noach, mitzvah al kedoshat Hashem, o ein mitzvah al kedushat Hashem. Is a Ben Noach, okay, to be considered required, okay, to give up their life in terms of the situation of Kiddush Hashem, the way a Jew is? Okay, all right, okay, or is it not? Or is he not, Ben Noach, not considered commanded to do so? Okay, so this is the easiest part of the Gemara, actually. Okay, so what happens? Amar, okay, Abaye says, Abaye, okay, says Tashma, listen to the following Braita. Sheva mitzvot nitztavu b'nei Noach. There were 7 commandments given to b'nei Noach, ve'im ita, and were that to be one, I'm going to translate it, tamne havyan, then there would be 8. Okay, so according to Abaye, no, the b'nei Noach are not commanded in that manner. Amar le Rava, says Rava, inhu v'chol avzurayhu. So Rava says they are commanded to observe all of those and all of the ancillary mitzvahs. Ancillary?
Yes.
Those count, that associated with it.
Dying rather than violating is part of the mitzvah.
Those are all associated with those. Anything that's associated with those 7 and derived from them, etc. Okay? Mai have Allah. So what is our end result? Asks the Gemara. Amar Rav Ada, says Rav Ada bar Ahava. Amrei Bei Rav, and they say in the Academy of Rav, Kativ. We have a pasuk that says, the davar hazeh yislach Hashem la'avdecha. Okay, we have from the
Naaman.
okay, this is between Naaman and Elijah, right? Okay, so what happens? He says, for this thing, one would be forgiven. Okay, and the Naaman says, Baba Adoni Bet Rimon, when my master comes and I go with him to the Beit Rimon, which we assume to be the Avodah Zarah, right? Lishtachavot Shamat Vehu Nish'an Al Yadi, and he's leaning on my arm, so to speak. Vihishtachaveti, and I bow with him. Uktiv, and after that, Elisha responds to Naaman, Vayomer lo lech l'shalom, and he says to him, go in peace, which means Elisha is giving him, I'll call it a pass. Okay, that's what I rather than really giving him reshus, he's giving him a pass that he's not doing a real avodah zarah. Okay, now if we go on to our top of Ayin Hay, which continues this discussion, and the Gemara tells us ve'im ita, and if Noahides are commanded to sanctify Hashem's name, in other words, to choose death over idolatry, okay, lo lemale, he wouldn't have said it. Elisha wouldn't have said it to him. Ha, bitsana. But here we're talking about a situation in private. Ha, befarhesia, and elsewise it was a situation in public. Okay? Okay, Amar Rav Yehuda, says Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, in the name of Rav. Maaseh be'achad, there once was a situation with a gentleman, echad shenatane nav be'isha achad, who had his eyes on a certain woman. Okay? He had the hots for her. Ve'el-
Look at the next phrase.
yes. Ve'ela libo, okay, Tana. And he became obsessed with her. Uba'u v'sha'alu l'rofim, and they went and asked the doctors. Va'amru, and the doctor's answer was, Ein lo takana ad shetiba'el. He will not have any remedy until he has relations with her. Okay, can you imagine writing a prescription for that?
That's a good doctor.
Okay.
Take two.
Amru Chachamim, said the sages, Yamut va'al tiba'el lo. Better that he die and not have relations. Ta'amod, okay, so they come up with an alternative answer. Ta'amod lefanav aruma. Maybe she might stand in front of him nude. Okay,
But no
again,
dancing.
Yamot va'al ta'amod lefanav. Okay, aruma. Better that she does, again, better he die and not stand nude before him. Again, another alternative, okay? To saper imo me'acharei gader. Let her at least talk to him from the other side of the, okay, of the other side of the fence, mechitza, whatever. Again, yimot v'lo saper imo me'acharei hagader. Again, better that he die rather than talk with her. Okay, yeah. Yes, Pesha. Right? No, 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 no way. Plige, ba, Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi, Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani. And then was a machloket between Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi and Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani. Chad Amar Eshet Ish Haita. One said this particular woman was already a married woman, okay, and that was why they said better that rather than have relations with a married woman, okay, which is going to, okay, yeah, we don't have to go into all the details except for skila. Okay, and the other, Vichadamar Pnuyahaita, she was a non-married woman, single. What happens? Bishlem Milamanda Amar Eshet Ishaita. Okay, that's understandable that we said that better that he die than have relations with her or any kind of interaction with her. Okay, because she's a married woman. Okay, Haita Shapir. That's understandable all the more. Ela Lamanda Amar Pnuya Haita. But according to the one who said she was an unmarried woman, she was still single, my kui hai. Then why all the geschichte here? Why did you have to go into all these details and all these questions? Okay? Rav Papa Amar, says Rav Papa, Mishum Pagam Mishpacha. Why? Because there is a certain amount of disgrace for the woman's family. Okay? Her acting in any kind of an immodest manner would, of course, not only bring a reflection on her, but it would be a reflection on the entire family's status. Okay? So what happens? Rav Acha Bared Rav Ika. What does he say? Amar, Kadei Shalo Yiyu Benot Yisrael Prutzot Ba'arayot. Okay. No, he says his argument is that the reason the rabbis forbid it is because they did not want girls to learn in terms of a lack of modesty, in terms of situations, matters of intimacy. That was one answer. Lenispa minsaber. Okay, so he says, so why not? If you're arguing that she's single, why don't let her marry him? Him marry her. Okay, so the Gemara says, lo might ba da'ate. His mind would not be settled. Now, what do we mean by that? K'de Rabbi Yitzchak de Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Why? Because as Rabbi Yitzchak cites a pasuk, Miyom shecharab Beit Hamikdash, from the time the temple was destroyed, nitla ta'am bi'a. Okay, there was removed the enjoyment of relations from married people. V'nitna le'ovrei aveira. Okay, and it was given over to those who look for sexual, right? Forbidden fruits is the sweeter, exactly. Okay.
That's where he quotes from.
What?
Of course.
What was his
A
question?
Jewish woman who's not married,
According to halach, she married, let's say, in the court by a judge.
Machlokas Rav Henkin and Rav Moshe.
Okay. I'm going to discuss that with you afterwards because there's a few different issues that could be brought in
What was
that
it,
regard.
can she, a woman who
A woman, let's say a woman who's married to the justice of the peace, a Jewish
so
woman.
she's cohabiting.
Okay, so she's Eshet Ish,
No, she's
but
not.
only
She's
through
cohabiting.
Daraita if it's
Yeah,
if
so
it's
she
cohabitation.
can't marry a
That's
Kohen
why I
because
said
she's
there are
a Kutza.
multiple issues.
There's a Machlokas Rav Moshe Feinstein and Rav
Yeah,
Henkin
I'm
on
sure.
that.
Well, that's it. Yeah, but basically,
It's Machlokas.
she's a prutza. I mean, they only use the various possible heterim as b'di'eved if the couple's married and has 4 kids already. They do not tell a Kohen you can marry a
Prutza,
prutza.
So
exactly.
I have a question from another Gemara. Okay, I'll make it very quick. The Gemara says in Brachos, Acharei Ari v'lo Acharei Isha. You should never walk behind a woman
Right.
because
It's going to
So look
entice.
at
right. So Rashi says over there, it's only if she's an Eshes Ish. If she's single, you can walk behind her because you'll marry her. That'll be fine. There's no problem.
Right.
So in other words, that answer is a little different than this one.
The answer, but that's Rashi's answer.
But it's good enough for me.
That's Rashi's answer.
That's a good
That's
answer.
not
The point
Chazal's
here is
attitude. That may not be Chazal's
The
attitude.
point is
Okay.
this guy has an unhealthy obsession.
I understand.
So
I understand.
even marrying her won't help.
I
Won't.
understand that.
Because what he's interested in is forbidden fruit. He doesn't want to eat.
Tackle the lo-
You can
No,
marry.
that
So-
Rashi is not
So that's what the Gemara suggests here.
because this
That's what
guy
the
is
Gemara
sick.
suggests.
I think
But-
that Rashi is pertinent, but okay.
But I'm
that's
saying
my point
that's
of
what the
view.
Gemara suggests.
Happy
Okay.
that you can't understand.
Okay, and Rabbi Yitzchak,
I
Rabbi
understand Rashi.
Yitzchak gives a different Perush.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so consider Rabbi Yitzchak a Das Yachid. then.
Okay. All right. It's good
Okay.
enough for me.
All right.
Rashi says
Okay,
so.
before that, okay, Hadran alach ben sorer umoreh. Okay, all right. Okay, as I say, Heshi, I'll give you a different next point to deal with.
Oh,
No,
If
the
she's
answer
Eshet
given is
Ish,
from
according to
Mishnah.
halach. Okay, that's why it's a big issue. Okay,
it's a
Why does it say
guy wants
sexual
to
pleasure
do
was
Okay.
taken away?
all right.
Why was sexual pleasure taken away from married couples?
Why?
because familiarity breeds contempt.
So there's no pleasure in sexual.
No, it doesn't mean there's no pleasure.
Why would people cheat? Because it's more fun. That's all this is saying. If this guy is obsessed, then the normal marital association would not suffice.
Size.
He's looking for a super thrill. And you don't
Different
get
answer.
that from your wife.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I have a different answer than that.
That's what the Gemara
That's
says.
what the perspective of Chazal. Okay, gentlemen. Okay, I want to start a new parak, and before I start the Mishnah, I want to cite 2 psukim. Okay, I'm reading now from Vayikra, chapter. Okay. Okay, I'm reading now a pasuk, 2 psukim from Parshas Achremos and Kedoshim. Okay, in Parshas Kedoshim, we have a pasuk. Okay, which is chapter 20, verse 14. Okay, listen carefully. Ve'ish asher yikach et isha ve'et ima zima hi ba'esh yisrafu oto ve'ethem velo tihye zima b'tochachem. Okay, I want to highlight the words. If I had a board, a whiteboard or something, I would write out the psukim. I would highlight certain words. The word zima is to be kept in mind here. The fact that the pasuk defines the punishment as sreifa. Okay, that's another point. Okay, but notice, by the way, that the word, all right, zima is actually found twice in this pasuk. Okay? Now, if I look elsewhere, earlier in Parshas Achremos, okay, which is going to be in chapter 18, verse 17, okay, I have the following pasuk. Okay.
Zima is defined as what?
Disgusting.
Lewd and sexually inappropriate behavior. Okay.
It's related to the word somain,
But
Disgusting is
stronger
different than
than that.
sexual.
It's
but
really
it's related, I'm saying. It has the
Okay.
same shortish.
Ervat isha. Okay, here's the next pasuk. Ervat isha ubita lo tigale et bat bena ve'et bat bita lo tikach legalot ervata sha'ara hena zima he. Okay, so again we have the word zima that I would underline. Okay, so in both psukim we have the word zima. Keep that in mind. Okay, also we have the word hena, which we're going to come back to. But notice, okay, one pasuk that says to us, a woman and her daughter. Okay, and then it goes on. Okay, bat bina, the daughter of her son. Bat bita, daughter of her daughter. Okay, whereas our other pasuk, okay, which we read earlier just before, okay, said clearly, okay, okay, sorry, all right, isha ve'et ima, a woman and her mother, okay, so you have generations that I'll call the phrase go down and generations that go up, right? So
Zima.
okay, and right, and in both. So I wanted to say the psukim so that as we go through the Gemara, it may be a little bit more understandable. Not a lot, but just a little. Okay, we now have done all our discussion on skila. Okay, we're now going to remember we said way back when there were two different systems. There was Rabbanan, Skila, Srefa, Hereg, Vechenek, and then there was Rabbi Shimon's system, okay, which had a different order. Okay? Okay? So we're now going to get into our Srefa. Okay? Ve'elu hein hanisrafim. Okay, time. These are the ones that are going to be punishable by Srefa. Okay? Number one, Haba al Eshet Isha Ubita, one who has relations with a woman and her daughter. We saw that in the pasuk. Okay? Second, Ubat Kohen Shazanta, a daughter of a Kohen who commits an act of adultery. Okay, that is how their Art Scroll is translating it. Make a note if you're using Art Scroll by note number 3. Okay? Art Scroll wants to go, it goes into more detail than I'm going to go into now. Yesh beklal isha ubita, and we include, I'm translating it, in regards to the first statement of the Mishnah, which was the Pasuk 20. Okay? The following, what, as example, the following, Isha Ubita, Bito, his daughter, Bat Bito. Okay, well, we'll get to it. Ubat Bito, the daughter of his daughter. Ubat Bino, the daughter of his son. Okay, and we go on now. Ubat Ishto, the daughter of his wife. Bat Bita, the daughter of her daughter. Okay, Ubat Bena, the daughter of her son. Chamoto, his mother-in-law. Okay, Ve'im Aim Chamoto, the mother of his mother-in-law. Ve'em Chamav, the mother of his father-in-law.
So that's anybody.
That's anybody.
Yeah, no fooling around with your grandmothers.
Okay, all right. And now, okay, let's follow the Gemara. Okay, okay. So we have generations going down. We have generations going up. Everybody with me so far? All right, now it gets fun. Gemara says the Gemara. Haba al Isha. Okay, what are we talking about? Haba al Isha, one who has relations with a woman, shenasa bita, whose daughter he married. In other words, it is one's mother-in-law. Okay? Okay? Lo, no, it's not. Okay. Lo, come on. Lo katani. We can't teach it that way. Why? Rather, haba al isha ubita. Because our Mishnah phrased the same prohibition based on an earlier statement in the Mishnah, in the Resha, and specifically the Pasuk about one having relations with a woman and her daughter. Miklau, the travaihu le'isur. Okay, from this we learn that both are considered to be forbidden. Okay, uman ninhu. Okay, and so according to whom are we then? Okay, dealing with. All right, spells out the Gemara here. All right, chamoto, his mother-in-law, ve'em chamoto, the mother of his mother-in-law. Okay, ukatani. Okay, but we're also teaching in our Mishnah, yesh bichlal isha ubita, that these are included in the prohibition of a woman and her daughter. Miklal de travaihu kative behedya. Why? Because these are included because both of them are explicitly expressed in the text of the Torah. Vahanach, but the others, midrasha acha. They come based on a drasha, on an expounding of the law. Okay? Ha nichala abaye. Okay? We're being presented here a discussion before we get to the initial issue of a machloket. Okay? Normally we would say so-and-so says X, so-and-so says Y. Why does A say this? Why does A say that? No, the Gemara here flips this and say so-and-so, his view is this, so-and-so his view is that, and now I'll tell you what they're arguing about. Okay? All right, so what happens? Ha-nichala Abaya. Okay? Says, we understand the view of Abai. Why? Da'amar mashma'ut dorshin ika benaihu. Because Abaye is arguing here that it's the interpretation of the psukim, the drasha, that's what the difference is between Abaye and Rava, or really between Rabbi Yishmael and Rabbi Akiva, in terms to understand how to darshan the pasuk that we read from Leviticus, from Vayikra chapter 20. Okay? What happens? Matnitin mani. So therefore, my question, asks the Gemara, is according to whom is our Mishnah? Rabbi Akiva, it would appear to be according to Rabbi Akiva. Okay, at least that would be Abaye's argument, right? Elila Rava, but according to Rava, who says Dama Chamato, his mother-in-law, okay, La'achar Mita, that it's the argument as regards to relations with his mother-in-law after the death of his wife. Ika Beinahu. That's the argument, the essence of the argument between Abaye and Rav. Okay? Matnitin Mani. And I still ask, according to whom is our Mishnah? Amarlach Rav. Rava would now give his explanation. Tane, we learn the following. Haba al isha shenasa bita. It talks about the situation where a man has relations, okay, with the woman whose daughter he married.
He was no longer alive.
Okay, and he would add, and she's now deceased. Okay, now I tried to figure out the following. Let's assume a woman got married at age, for the moment, 15. Okay. Well, you're right, but I want to pick 15 particularly. Okay? The age 15. She has a child right away. Okay? Now, that daughter, okay, also gets married at age 15. Okay? Exactly. Now, that daughter also gets married and has a daughter at the age of 15. That's the granddaughter. So you have woman, the first woman who is what age? 45. Then a daughter who's 50, 30, and a granddaughter that's 15. Now, the man who married the first woman was at least, let's say, 5 years older than her, 20. Okay? Well, you're right, but I don't want to. I want to give easy numbers. Okay? So he was 20 when he married. Okay? Now, what happens? Okay? How old is the first woman?
46.
46.
No, she isn't 46. No. He's 20. She's 45.
No, she had to have a baby, so
Okay,
she's 46.
46. Okay? He was 20, 30, roughly 30 years later. He's 50, she's 46. Okay, so I want us to understand,
They're not very old.
okay, that numerically, they are, even though this woman has been married and has a granddaughter, okay, and he could have, and he, whatever,
You're
and he
giving
could,
her the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
She's really not even 40.
right? So all I'm simply saying is he could have married, okay, that, so numerically, I wanted to figure out, is it possible, okay, that a man at 40, okay, could have relations or marry? Okay, he's
No, but
50,
we're talking
whatever.
about the middle woman's husband.
The middle wife. So
We're
that's
talking
the
about the middle woman's husband.
Right.
So he's like
He's
30.
30,
tops.
right, and have,
And he could be interested in a woman a few years older than him. That's not so unreasonable.
Right.
We're thinking of the Bubby is 80 years old.
no, we're not.
Yeah, the Bubby is like 38 or
40,
39.
whatever.
Southern Belle.
Okay.
Married
All I wanted to do was figure out for us to understand number wise. All right, so let's jump back now. Quickly.
Talking about the sociology. The other thing to keep in mind is that these people live in the same home,
That's Ibn Ezra.
right? It was a core family that would share the same space, so access to each other
Is not unreasonable.
Right.
Ibn Ezra
Okay.
talks about.
Right. That we'll get into later. Okay? You get into the wrong bed. Okay. Amarlach Rabba, says Rabba, Tani haba al isha shenasa bita. We talked again about, he said, a man who married the woman's daughter, and now the woman is the daughter, his wife is deceased. Okay, let's go on. So the Gemara now picks up, coming back to what we cited earlier. Yesh bichlal isha ubita. Okay, we said that our pasuk, and therefore the Mishnah at the Resha, said we're including in this a woman and her daughter, namely Chamoto, also the mother, his mother-in-law, Ve'em Chamoto, the mother of his mother-in-law, Ve'em Chamav, and the mother of his father-in-law. Okay, now we got to decide, since we saw this machloket between Abaye and Rava, how each of them handle this part of the Mishnah. Okay, La Abaye, according to Abaye, Aide de Kabaye Lemitna Aim Chamav, since it's come to teach us about the mother of his father-in-law, Taninami Chamoto Ve'em Chamoto. It also comes to teach us about his mother-in-law and the mother of his mother-in-law. Almost what I'll call, excuse the expression, simply stylistic. It taught about this, it's going to teach about that. Okay? But Rava, according to Rava, Aide de Kabai Lemitna Aim Chamav, since it comes to teach us about, excuse me, the mother of his father-in-law, ve'em chamato, and the mother of his mother-in-law, Tani Nami Chamoto. It also was teaching us about his mother-in-law. Okay, Menahani Mili. Why would that be the case? The answer is I'm going to say they're the same cohort, so to speak. They're the same general age range,
Same generation.
generation. Okay? The Tanu Rabbanan, as taught in a following Braita, Ish asher yikach et isha v'et ima. Okay? Here's now a different pasuk, which we did not read from Vayikra 20. Okay? A man who takes, marries, right? Okay, a woman, et ima, and her mother. Ein li ela isha v'ima. I only have here, okay, the pasuk focusing on the woman and her mother. Bat isha, the daughter of the woman. Ubat bita, the daughter of her daughter. Ubat bina, the daughter of her son. Minayin, how do we know that these also would be prohibited? Ne'emar kan zima, because here in one pasuk we have clearly the phrase zima, which we've already translated lewd, illicit sexual activities, etc., etc. V'ne'emar lahalan zima, we have a gezerah shava. We're using the word bridge of two common. What? Well, wait. We may use it a second time, or a third time, or a fourth time. Okay? So what happens? But we have this common phrase, and therefore, malahalan bita, ubat bita, ubat bana. The same way in one pasuk, we have a reference to her daughter, the daughter of her daughter, the daughter of her son. Afkan, so likewise here, bita, bita, ubat bina. So here too, we indicate her daughter, the daughter of her daughter, the daughter of her son.
And what we're trying to prove is that that the punishment is sreifa. That's the whole
Right.
point of it.
Exactly. Okay, so now, okay, what we have here, the Gemara is now going to ask a new question. Minayin la'asot zicharim kinekevod. How do we make the status of the male relatives similar to the status of the female relatives? That's the question. Ne'emar kan zima. Here in one pasuk, we have the word again, zima. V'ne'emar lahalan zima. And elsewhere we also have the word again, zima. Malahalan zicharim kinekevot. And therefore, where that we see here that male relatives are going to be considered similarly forbidden to female relatives. Okay? Afkan, so likewise, zicharim kinekevot. So likewise, related through the male is similar to related through all the females. Gemara asks, Minayin la'asot lemata kilamala. How do we know that we also go down generations as well as going up generations? Okay, says the Gemara. Again, same Gzeira Shava. Ne'emar kan zima. We say here again zima. V'ne'emar lahalan zima. Down below we say also zima. Malahalan lamata kilamala. The same way going down, we can go up. Afkan lamata kilamala. So here too, we can go down and then we can go up.
Generation.
Right. So the Gemara asks, hold on a second. Makan lamala kilamata. What do you mean that here we can go from up to go down? Af lahalan lamala kilamata. That here too we go from down, we can go up. Amar mar. Afterwards, actually, our text told us, Minayin la'asot zecharim kinekevot. How is it possible, excuse me, that we made male relatives similar to female relatives? My zecharim kinekevot. What do we mean by male relatives and female relatives? Ilema if we're going to spell it out and say bat bana, the daughter of his son, kibat bita is like the daughter of her daughter, bahade hadade ka'atyan. Those are derived together from the same zima zima. Okay?
And the same pasuk of down.
Right. Ella, rather, im chamav, if we're talking about his father-in-law, ka ke'em chamato, like the mother of his mother-in-law, hashta here, im chamoto, the mother of his mother-in-law, lo kamalan. We don't have any verse, anything that clearly defines that. Em chamav mehadar Allah, the mother of his father-in-law. How do we go back? In other words, we haven't established yet enough proof in the situation regarding the mother-in-law, okay, to say that it's going to apply to the mother of the father-in-law. That's the problem that the Gemara is.
She's left out of the
Right.
psukim.
Okay? Ella, rather, Chamav, his father-in-law, Ke'em Chamato, is similar to the mother of his mother-in-law. Hashta here, Im Chamato lo Kamalan, if we say that the mother of his mother-in-law, we don't have a pasuk, we don't have the proof. Im Chamav Mahadar Allah. Is it possible to say then that the mother of his father-in-law is going to come back and we're going to view that the same way? Let's go on top of the next excuse me. Amar Abaye. And so Abaye now argues as follows. Hachi ka'amar. This is what it's trying to tell us. Minayin la'asot she'er haba mimenu. How is it that we can take relatives of his? Okay? That right? Kisher haba mimena. Similar to relatives of hers. Okay? Ne'emar kan zima. Why? I'm using that same Gezerah Shava bridge. Okay? It says in one pasuk zima, v'ne'emar lahalan zima. And elsewhere it also says zima, v'chule, etc. Baha, but here, b'sha'ar didei lo kativa bezima. But where we have a pasuk that might be referring to his relatives, the word zima is not explicitly written in the pasuk. What happens? Amar Rava. Rava now gives his attempt to explain. Okay? Amarli Rav Yitzchak bar Avdumi. Says Rav Yitzchak bar Avdumi once told me and explained it to me. We're going to have a double Gezerah Shava.
Third pasuk.
Right? Right? Another pasuk. Acha Hena Hena comes along the two psukim where they have the word Hena in both of them. Acha Zima Zima. And then I have another two psukim. Okay, a third pasuk. I have 1 and 2, and then I have 2 and 3. Okay, in that manner. Amar Mar, says the master. What that says the Gemara? Minayin la'asot lamata kilamala. How is it possible to go, okay, from the below to go up? So the Gemara asks, Mai lamata kilamala. What do you mean from going below to go up? Ilema bat bana. If we're talking about a situation of the daughter, okay, of his son, of her son, ubat bita, of the daughter of her daughter, kibita is similar to her daughter. Bahade hadade ka'achin. These all are derived together. Okay, Ella, rather, aim chamav, the mother of his father-in-law, ve'em chamoto, the mother of his mother-in-law, kechamoto. Rava's argument, we said, would be like his mother-in-law. Hi, lamata kilamala. Are you saying this is going from below to going up? Lamala kilamata have. No, that's going up, going down. Okay? Tane lamala kilamata. No, teach it as if, in other words, some would translate it as actually amend the Braita. Okay, but I'm simply saying teach it in a manner that we go, okay, from up to down. Okay, Ihachi, says the Gemara. If that's the case, ne'emar kan zima. Here again, we're using that Gezerah Shava bridge. Here we have the specific pasuk that says it refers to zima, v'ne'emar lahalan zima. And there also we have a pasuk that refers to it. Uma hashta. Okay, inhu lo kative. Okay, and what about the fact that in one pasuk we said it's even if it's not written? Zima didho ktiva. Can we say there that we're also talking about zima on their behavior, even though it wasn't specifically spelled out? Amar Abaye, says Abaye, hachi ka'amar. No, says Abaye, this is what it's trying to teach us and tell us. Minayin la'asot shlosha darot lamala, kishlosha darot lamata. How is it possible? How do we make 3 generations going up like 3 generations going down? Ne'amar lamata zima. We say here it talks about zima with regards to the wife's relatives. V'ne'emar lamala zima. And the going up, it talks about zima. Ma lamata shlosha darot. The same way going down. Okay, we're talking about 3 generations. Af lamala shlosha darot. So going up, we're going 3 generations. Gemara picks up. Ma ba'onesh. What about in regards to punishment? Okay, asa lamata kilamala. It made those going down similar to those going up. Af bahazara nami asa lamala kilamata. So likewise, in regards to a warning, we're also going to say that it made those going up like those going down. Okay, so far, okay, we're still following what we can do. However, now we're going to get to another alternative answer on the part of Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi Amar, Le'olam k'katana. Rav Ashi is saying, really, we do not have to amend the Braita. We can understand it, what it was saying. Why? Uma'i lamata. And what do we mean when we say going up? Lamata be'isur. We're talking about the fact that the seriousness of the prohibition is regarding both the distant or the near relatives. That's his explanation.
And they all get straight.
Right. Okay, no question. Mahi aim ima asura. If we're going to say, okay, and here's Rav Ashi's argument presenting this. If we can say that the same way we have the mother of her mother is forbidden, because even though she may be a more distant relative, afhu aim imo asura. So likewise for him, the mother of his mother is going to also be a distant relative, also forbidden. Amar Abaye, and Abaye responds, Amar Kra, but the pasuk specifically says, Imcha hi, your mother, mishum imo atam mechayvo, because she's your mother. The pasuk finds you liable and to be punished by slave. Ve'iyata mechayvo mishum emimo, but it doesn't find you liable, okay, and guilty if you have relations with her of sreifa, because of the mother of, okay, his mother. However,
So that's a miyud,
right.
and that would trump the Gezerah.
Actually, that's only a derabanan prohibition and not a deoraita prohibition. Okay. Rava Amar. His answer. Ben leman da amar dun mine umine. whether we know that we're arguing about a fact that you can determine something and then continue to derive something from it. Bein laman amar dun mina va'oke ba'atra. Or whether we determine that you can derive something, but you have to keep it within its context. Okay? Lo acha. Okay? What do we say here? That it doesn't come. We can't derive, can't differentiate. That's our phrase. Laman damar dun mina umina. According to the one who says you can derive something and then further derive, okay, what's the status? Mahi im aim ima asura. What we have then is that the same way the mother of her mother is forbidden to him, although again she's a distant relative. Af who, so likewise for him, Nami also, aim imo asura. The mother of his mother is forbidden. Umone, okay, umina, I'm sorry, umina, and then we can derive from that ma he besrefa, the same way the punishment would be burning. Af who nami besrefa, so he too would.
Her relatives are
Okay.
Sreifa, Allah's
Okay,
combination.
and his relatives would be straight. Laman damar sreifa chamura. But according to who? Rabbi Shimon's list. Remember, that made not skila the top, but sreifa was the top. Okay? Ika lemifrach. It's possible to challenge that kind of argument. Why? Ma lahi shekain ima bisreifa. Whereas for her, we can say that with her mother punished by Sreifa, Tomar Bahu, is it possible for you to say that regarding him, She'imo Beskila, okay, that his mother's the punishment with his mother would be stoning,
Which is a lower level.
right, which would be a lower level. It should be at least the same. Va'od, and furthermore, says the Gemara, imo b'skila, if punishment with relations with his mother is okay, is done by skila. Aim imo b'sreifa. Could we argue then that with the mother of his mother, that punishment would be sreifa?
Which is, according to Rav
Shimon would be a higher. Right, it doesn't make sense. Va'od, and furthermore, ma he lo chilakt ben, I'm sorry, ma he lo chilakt ba, of the fact that you didn't distinguish or differentiate, okay, ben ima le'im ima, between her mother, and the mother of her mother. Afu, so likewise regarding him, nami lo tachlok bo, we cannot distinguish then or differentiate then, ben imo le'em imo, between his mother, okay, and between the mother of his mother. There should be the same punishment, okay?
And that those are skila, which contradicts the
Right. Ulaman da'amar, and according to the one who says skila chamura, okay, namely Rabbanan, right? Mai husha lo nidona, okay. What we have? What about this problem, this issue that we can't determine? We can't render
So
decision.
this makes the whole Gezerah Shava invalid.
Probably problematic. Okay. In other words, we can't use the Gezerah Shava to give us our answer. Ulaman da'amar dun mina va'oke ba'atra. But according to the one who says we can derive from it, but then it has to remain in its context, ma hi im ima asura, with regards to her, I'm sorry, yeah, right, with regards to her, where her mother, okay, would be forbidden to him. Af who, so likewise for him, nami aim imo asura. Similarly, the mother of his mother would be forbidden. Okay, ba'atra, and we would establish it in its context. Hatam, there, huda b'shreifa. There, the punishment would be shreifa. Aval hacha b'skila. But here, for his mother, the punishment would be stoning. Kida ashkechan be'imo, as we would find with his mother. Okay? Now, we could continue this difficult Gemara. Laman, just very, very briefly. I'm going to. Okay, because what happens is, okay, it's going to continue well into the top of the next Amud. Okay, so I'm going to have a stop here, okay, and we'll try to pick up there tomorrow.
Very good. Ask a favor of you, please. My relatives are worried because they can't reach me. They thought that something terrible happened. So I need to borrow a phone that works. Can I borrow your phone just a second? I can even give you the number. Okay, if you want to give it. It doesn't leave messages. That's why I leave messages for my relatives and they never get them. They think that I'm gone and I'm not.